Mike Tyson's wife influenced him to become vegan. In yin and yang, the yin is nurturing and nourishing. You need the balance, but nurturing and nourishing is diminished in our culture. Slaughter, destroy. Oh, and one thing that I tend to center on, the greatest quarterback ever in football is vegan. Tom Brady advertises for a vegan. I think he's like about 95% vegan. He's vegan most of the time. And he influenced this really big, lumbering, very good player on his team to go completely vegan. So the greatest quarterback of all time still playing this year at the age of 42. And I saw his game yesterday. I watched it. He's really, still really good. And he's vegan. So, vegans should center in on these things. He's a really good role model for what you can do with veganism. Mike Tyson. I love Mike Tyson. I love seeing him on film. He's such a gentle being, and he's vegan, and he has it. He knows it. And it's what a wonderful transformation. It almost gives you hope. Mike Tyson, when he fought Larry Holmes, Ali went to him and said, destroy him to get revenge from me. The funny thing is that people can't put thoughts together. Like after the fight with Larry Holmes, they saw each other, and Larry Holmes said to Ali, I love you, man. And he goes, why the hell did you beat me up? And hey, what were you trying to do to Larry Holmes? But that's human being, like you said, question mark. Where? What kind of beings are we? Beating each other up? Inhumane beings, inhumane disgrace. Beating each other up, killing our sister and brother animals, eating them, stealing infant lactation. Oh.
Aside from everything else, it's a lot of trouble to be a carnivore.
Lions have terrible lives. Carnivores have terrible lives.
Predators are generally much more short-lived than herbivores.
And violent between each other.
Yeah. And even on a practical level in the camp, we didn't have to worry that much about hygiene in terms of food because we had no animal food. Life would be a lot cleaner and simpler for people. A lot of carnivores starve to death.
And in reality, the vegetables are sitting there saying, hey, eat us. We're farming you. The vegetables are farming us. Lay right down here and be our fertilizer. That's how smart they are. The Twilight Zone to serve man. The vegetables are just sitting there saying, yeah, you can call us all the names we want. We're not like you. We don't have false pride. We just sit here and serve everybody, and everybody serves us. We're farming you. So it's funny, oh, you're a vegetable. Thank you very much. And what does vegetable mean? In the root, full of life. eating from the tree of life, which the Bible says heals all the nations. The very end of the New Testament says going back to eating from the tree of life will heal all the nations. Right back to Genesis 1:29. The Bible ends with the way it begins. And St. Jerome Hieronymus said Jesus has taken the stinking juices of meat out of our mouth and brought the end together with the beginning. That's a very powerful statement we need to make, that Jesus has taken the stinking juices of meat out of our mouth and joined the end with the beginning.
They definitely have their friendships and their animosities. They're not at all stupid. They're a little hysterical. They get hysterical and then they don't use good judgment. But they're smart. And they know their names and everything. These three young roosters here are
Oh, there's some really good stuff I should mention. There's a thing called Spiritual Awakening Radio. James Bean, B-E-A-N, 2 programs on there. If you punch in Spiritual Awakening Radio, Vegan Jesus, and History of Vegetarianism, he's got 3 great programs, audio programs, that are very listenable, related to all this stuff. People pay lip service to what is good and noble and just, kind and fair, equal, that we're human and humane, but it doesn't pan out. It becomes rhetoric and words. We learn that we have such a great heritage in this country from the elites of Europe, the great writers of Britain, of England, Shakespeare, Shelley, Milton, Keats, but Shelley wrote Vindication of a Natural Diet, where he said that we are naturally herbivores. And he had it vindicated because people were attacking him as a vegetarian. People pay lip service to the greatness of their writings, but do they listen to their writings? In Milton's Paradise Lost, very, very famous poem. Guess what Paradise Lost comes about from? Eating meat in the Garden of Eden. Eating from the tree of life with all the abundance of vegetables and fruits, as opposed to eating from the tree of death, slaughtering, killing, and exploiting and subjugating. And you know what's really funny? I was speaking with Minister Frank Hoffman. Telling him about some of my magical experiences with animals and the praying mantis, which was a great experience. Amazing. And he said, you know, praying mantises are predatory. If you think of it, There's nothing on this planet that isn't perfect. Like, people have this audacity that they're so wonderful, that we're the apex of creation. Science and religion say they're at odds with each other, but they're two sides of the same coin. Evolution, look at us, we're evolved, and blah, 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 blah. You know, and you were created in God's image. We're the kingpins. Whether it's science or religion, they're so full of themselves, right? And what do they say? That person's a vegetable.
Yeah, it must be him because he's sort of solitary. He's very young. All of a sudden he grew up. He was this little chick, and now he's this rooster.
Who's on first? What's on second? What's the difference between an American Psycho and your average American? The American Psycho has mutilated animal body parts and bodily emissions in his refrigerator. And your average American has mutilated body parts and bodily emissions in their refrigerator. Serial killers.
Serial killers, they always say, you know, on all these programs and stuff, the one prime indication is that they're cruel to animals in childhood. And they never go like, hello, you know?
There's the chicken leg. Let's go to the carnival. And it's all diminuated, whatever the word is. It's some jolly with a Ferris wheel and cotton candy and hot dogs, no less. But carnival means farewell to meat, farewell to flesh. And it's Lent. And Marilyn told me that when she went to Catholic school as a child, the mid-50s, that they taught her that Lent meant going without eating meat, without eating any animal food. Now, why should that be? As a matter of fact, on Bob Dylan's Theme Time Radio, he brought this up. He brought up Carnival. And he said the 42 days of Lent before Easter, you don't eat any animal foods. So why should that be? Why should that be contained within so-called Christianity? Because they're emulating Jesus, the resurrection, spring, the new coming, the Reformation. Carnival, you know, it just amazes me how people don't want to deal with reality. That's what these words mean. How many people know that carnival is farewell to flesh? If we have to give up flesh, which we're not going to do, let's stuff our face with flesh before we don't give up flesh. We have Mardi Gras. Foie gras. It reminded me of Mardi Gras. You know what Mardi Gras is, right? I want to dwell on the fact that we were successful in getting homes for everybody, with people who really care. So that was a great part.
I know this is a
And
very
one
big
guy
decision.
tried to put it over on me. He came out, he pretended to be giving him homes when he was trying to take him to kill him for feathers.
Oh.
And Teresa weeded him out. Teresa said, I know who that is.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it's a big thing, chicken feathers. Some rock star started putting them in his hair. We talked to one person who she deliberately breeds them for the feathers, and in their second year the roosters have their best feathers, so at that point they euthanize very mercifully the rooster and take its tail feathers for hair decoration. Even chickens lose some feathers. You can collect those feathers for use without hurting the bird. For feathers in millinery hats. Saying, but there's peacock feathers, which couldn't be more beautiful. And the bird naturally loses them every year, so you don't have to do any damage at all to use those feathers. Why couldn't they stick to those feathers?
Now you notice how he has no tail? That's from a dog attack too. How he lived, I'll never know. He bled so much.
But his tail never grew back. He's head rooster. There's always a rooster in charge. Oh no, the leader rooster. He's good. That's his second in command. They get along most of the time, but every now and then he has to.
It shows how our language, our culture, so often revolves around the normalcy of violence and slaughter, killing.
Well, it's probably deliberate.
Yes, it is.
Well, see, a lot of people felt like, well, these chickens, they're doing pretty good. They're in the woods, they're healthy, they're not overfed, they're getting plenty of fresh air and exercise. They're not as bad off as the ones on a poultry farm, which is true. But what everybody couldn't seem to get through their head is they were going to be destroyed. You know, they couldn't seem to get their head around the fact that the township was going to come in and poison them.
She saved the chickens. She can't deny it. Trying to deny it, but Nancy saved the chickens. Hundreds of them.
And I was the best chicken catcher in the camp. Not easy to catch chickens.
Marilyn is a genius.
And our chickens, they weren't so hard to catch because they were friendly. They knew us. But the other chickens in the camp, practically impossible to catch them. Some rescuers came with like nets, and there were like a dozen people chasing them. They caught like 2 chickens.
And Marilyn caught many of them.
Yeah. It's not that hard, you know, you just have to know how to do it. You have to have a crate, and you have to put food in the crate. And then you have to be patient enough to wait for the chickens to go in the crate to eat. And then if you approach them toward the door of the crate, they think that it's open because, you know, the crate is relatively transparent. So they go the other way, and then you just shut the door. Not only is it easier, it's also much less stressful to the chicken. But you know, the funny thing was is we fed our chickens all different kinds of stuff in the camp. They're not so crazy about them here, but in the camp they love noodles. It was like feeding sharks to give noodles to the chickens. They just loved them. But the camp chickens didn't really know what noodles were, so they didn't really care. Only our individual chickens liked noodles. So it was hard to find especially tempting things.
Let's sing Nancy's praises too.
Yes.
Because when I was at the camp, I was speaking with Nancy and I said, the camp is disbanding and nobody cares. all these meat eaters here couldn't give a darn, and they're going to kill all the chickens unless we find homes. Some of the people would use the chickens for fighting and eating.
We're designing our society where the poor can't afford a place to live. It doesn't need to be that way. You know, we can build housing for everybody. At every wage level, we can build a house for them. So many homeless people, you know, trying to create tent cities because the shelter systems aren't working, the government systems aren't working. There's not enough subsidized monies to go around.
That was something you had to live with. It wasn't that rampant. Over the whole camp, there were 300 chickens. And we probably found homes for almost every one of them. And it was you, Nancy. Please keep it on the tape. I did ask you if you could go on the internet and see if you can find people who will. And you did. Friends of the Animals, Teresa. Yeah.
But also some couples would come who just wanted to adopt maybe 4 or 5 chickens. So.
But they wound up 200-300 were taken into sanctuaries. And Nancy connected me with the people. And it took months for everybody to come out. You wish down to the last one, everyone was saved. But you know, that wasn't the case, not down to the very last one.
Somebody I know who still lives there says there's still a chicken or 2 in the woods. Well, they can, you know, they're real survivors.
But for the most part, at least a couple of hundred more we found homes for. And you and I were the ones who really did it, getting in contact with the people who came out. We're talking about the word bucks, like $500, gelt, guilt for gelt. Bucks comes from the word butcher, bucker, which is to rip apart a buck. I stopped using the word bucks like that when I found that out a few years ago. Language is unbelievably, amazingly fascinating, and doesn't always cheer you up. Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, that's what they used, the pelts of bucks as denomination exchange, payment. That's how it came to be.
Yeah, they call it buckskin.
Right, so bucker, butcher, bucks. Language blows you away. Audrey Meadows, yeah, she was very good at it too.
What's so terrible about learning to do the mambo? Everybody does it now.
Everybody does it, Alice? Everybody does it?
Well, I don't mean everybody.
You said everybody does it. I don't know anybody does the mambo. I don't do it. Norton doesn't do it. My grandmother never did it. Wait a minute. What's that?
Tuna fish. We're going to have tuna fish salad.
Tuna fish? What am I, a cat or something?
Ralph has a big problem with his mother-in-law, with Alice's mother. They hate each other, Jackie Gleason. And he's trying to deal with the matter, and he's very upset. And he's talking with Norton about it. And Norton says, "Oh, don't worry, Ralphie boy. You know, I'm not what my God. You guys hate my mother-in-law too. It's just normal. Mother-in-laws are terrible." And Ralph is going around with this notion, and Trixie comes into the conversation. And
That's
Ralph,
the wife of our car.
And Trixie comes into the conversation. Art Carney, right? Carney, me. So I think Ralph repeats that Ed hates his mother-in-law, her mother. And she says, what are you talking about? Ed loves my mother. They get along great. So Ralph goes, what about this, Norton? You told me you hate your mother-in-law. And Norton's going like this, back and forth between them, looking at both of them. He goes, my mother-in-law is the sweetest, kindest, most honorably nasty, you know. And that's Paul for you. Paul will play up to anybody. You know, so if you read Romans 14, which is his book, he starts out by saying, those who are weak in faith only eat vegetables. The first few verses. By the time you get to verse 21, he says it is good not to eat meat nor to drink wine. He's a confused guy himself, Paul. There's a great passage in the Vegetarian Source book by Keith Akins, which I should get. On page 44 in The Vegetarianism of Jesus Christ, in reference to Paul. But the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 24:5, says Paul was arrested by the Romans as a troublemaker, a Nazarene. And that's what Nazarenes were. That's what Nazorians were. They were vegetarian, vegan, non-alcoholic devotees. So Paul was educated that way too. So, you know, you've got to sift this stuff out through the Bible. It's there.